Well, I suppose the whole dynasty of this came from my mother, because she was involved in horses and ponies all her life. And I suppose that's where we all started, really, where we all came from her. She did point-to-pointing, she did hunting, she did breeding, she did half-breds, thoroughbreds, everything. So I suppose, we all came from her and we all started from there. And she used to take us hunting, which we would hack. There was no horse box, really. You would go on your ponies for about 10 miles down and 10 miles back and hunt all day, and then hack home at night and feed your ponies when you got home, because they had to be fed before you were fed, or else you got nothing to eat. And I suppose she instilled into us how to look after the animals and, and appreciated what we had. When we were growing up and we were getting interested in the same industry, i.e. ponies and horses and that, she got very involved to try and promote, especially in Munster, because we were a little far back down here at the time. And she tried to promote the show jumping as best she could. So she was a member of the Cork and Kerry region show jumping. And then she was on the Munster board. And then she became a judge. She became a pony selector to go abroad. She was chef de keep of 3 teams. She was actually a chef de keep in 89 of the European ponies in Mill Street that won a bronze medal, which my daughter at the time happened to be on the team as well, so it was a bonus, because kind of be saying she got on the team because of her granny, but she didn't. She did her 2 clear rounds and she kept going. And then I suppose as we got older and we took over, my sister started a riding school. She went to Dublin. Hume Dudgeon's, I think, she qualified as a riding instructor. And she started the riding school then in the late 60s, early 70s. My mother went on then to become a judge. And she judged, I suppose, locally everywhere. Not only judge of show jumping, but she judged young horses, she judged thoroughbreds, she even at one stage judged donkey classes, she judged everywhere, show classes and everything. So we kind of followed her in her footsteps a little bit. Then she used to travel a lot to meetings in Dublin. She'd go judging to the horse show. And then my sister became very involved, and she used to travel a lot as well. At this stage we had the riding school up and running. So we had, I suppose, liveries and kids starting off and our own kids starting off. And my sister used to go away and she'd come back with different ideas from different countries. She started 2 phase in Ireland. She brought back from Belgium, I think. And then she started the Sportsman's, which would be, I suppose, amateur now, like it is now. She started the Sportsman's with the help of Noel C. Duggan and Thomas Duggan, because Mill Street was international at the time, and they wanted as many classes and as many new ideas, I suppose, as they possibly could do. And they came up, herself and a neighbour who used to ride here with us called Mary Roach. They came up with the Sportsman's. They had an amateur, as far as I know, they had an amateur classes in Leinster at the time, but there certainly wasn't amateurs down in Munster until she got involved. And then the Sportsman started in Mill Street, became really popular. And after, you didn't have to qualify to go to Mill Street, but then eventually you did have to qualify. So it meant, I suppose, really that we didn't know who was coming, whereas before we knew everybody in Munster. And then when they opened it up, the amateur started. And I think that's where the amateur started then in Munster, and it grew from there. And then I suppose when my own kids, Tommy and Billy and Ken, got involved, they got involved very much in the pony club as well, the local pony club. Tommy did 12-2s, 13-2s, 14-2s. She also qualified for Dublin in the 12-2s with a pony called Millie Molly Mandy, which was pretty well known at the time. I think they jumped nearly as high, if not higher, then as they do now. My other, Tommy went on to work in the thoroughbred industry then when she finished with the 14-2s. She did a bit of young riders, all right, a small bit of young riders, but not a whole lot. And then she went on, she got a job in Coolmore, and she now works for Tatterstalls in Ireland. My other son, Billy, who I suppose he started riding when he was 8, 9. And my sister, who was very involved with him, I suppose we all saw a little bit something different and something. He'd always be jumping. You just have to watch him. He wouldn't be great at the flat work. He could be out with no hat, jumping ponies and minding ponies. And he started in 12-2s as well. I think he did a little bit of pony club, very little cross country, which I think we had a pony club cross country here, cross country course, and I think that was the only cross country he ever did. He took one of the jumping ponies, 13-2, and went flying. We closed our eyes as he was jumping the bank, but he did it. He qualified a pony called Bernard for Dublin, and then they both Tommy and Billy, were very lucky to have a very good pony called Mary Colleen, which was owned locally, Colin and Jim Dorney. That was the pony that Tommy won the European medal on, and Billy also. He had another pony called Tombella, who was in 14-2s, that went on. He got on the European team, hadn't a great day. He got a fall and broke his nose in a lot of places in Belgium. And then I suppose he was always going to be, his father did the best he could to try and get him to go to college and do something else, but he wasn't going to go. And then people started asking him to ride ponies, and it kind of became a little bit like buy and sell, good ponies, bad ponies. But he was always interested in that part of it. He was always interested in producing ponies. He'd like to have a novice pony so he could bring up, and that was always in his head. And I think he still likes doing that, even though he's gone on to, I don't know how many Nations Cup, a lot of Nations Cup that they were in. I suppose the best was one for me anyway. The most memorable one was the year 2000 that he was on his first Nation Cup, and that was thanks to Tommy Wade. He was the chef to keep at the time, and I think, Tommy saw something. Billy was with Michael Whittaker at the time, and Michael actually said, you can have the horse. Conquest, was it? Yeah, Conquest, I think Lisa, was it? Yeah. And he went to Dublin, and we were in the background thinking, well, maybe he might get on the team. It was, I think, a little bit of a different pattern then. It was really how you jumped in Dublin. I don't know, maybe I have it a little bit wrong, but he won the first day, and he was put on the team, and they won. It was, I think, one of the best, most memorable days we had. And then he went on to, when he moved on his own, then he was lucky to have a very good sponsor with Sue and Eddie Davis that bought good horses for him. And I think even a bad rider and a good rider, they all need good horses and need good horses. So I suppose he was lucky. I did a lot of travelling with Billy when he was on the circuit and in the pinnacle of his career, and hopefully he will be again. But you always wanted to come back to Dublin to the horse show. That was where you wanted to be, and that's where you wanted to see everywhere, because not only is it the horses, but it's a real social outing for everybody that's involved in the equine sport, I think. Dublin, for all of us, is the pinnacle of the whole thing. That's what you work for the whole year. That's what people buy their ponies, buy their horses to try and qualify for Dublin, because everybody wants to get to Dublin. It's like the Irish Olympics, like in Dublin. From this yard alone, people are trying to get to Dublin. I have 3 grandchildren that are trying to qualify in 12-2s and 14-2s. Then we have the riding club that are trying to qualify. We have the equitation 14-2 ponies. We have Lisa, who's trying to qualify for the amateurs. So, it's a big day. There's something for everybody. There's for the amateurs, for the kids that maybe will not be jumping 120 and 30. They can jump 85 centimetres if they have a nice 6 and 7-year-old pony. If they have a nice 14-2 pony, they can jump a metre. So there is something for everyone. So you can work, but it does take a lot of hard work to get there. And if you're prepared to put in the work, but again, then you have to qualify. So, that's a big step too. You have to work towards qualifying, and I suppose take it on the chin if you don't, which is hard.